Hi everyone, Fenris Models here, and today I'll be showing you my build of the Jurassic Park The Ride stock car from Revell Monogram in 1/24th scale. The build starts off with the engine. Each piece was removed with a pair of spruce nips and cleaned with a hobby blade. Now, moving forward, I won't be showing this stage with each additional section, so just assume I've done the same for those. Each engine piece was then test fitted together to ensure there were no issues before Tamiya extra thin cement was applied along the seam line. Once the engine was fully assembled, it was time to paint. You will notice throughout this build that's something that I'll be doing often. Building a little, painting, building a little more, painting, etc. Here, the whole engine received a coat of metal color aluminum 77.701. Metal color steel 77.712 was then used to pick out select parts, including the heat shields, the belt assembly, and the exhaust headers. Model color black 70.950 was also applied to certain parts such as the distributor and belts. A small amount of model air white 71.001 was used for the air filter. And then finally, the cables from the distributor were picked out in model air red 71.269. The engine could then be set aside as we start on the chassis and the interior of the car. First was installing the firewall on the left and right cage sides. Then the interior could get things like the seat, stick, and the remaining roll bars installed. Once everything was in place, a coat of surface primer light ghost gray 70.615 was applied with an airbrush. Because all of this will later be covered by the body shell, I didn't bother with my usual pre-shading techniques. After all, it won't be terribly visible on the finished kit. This was allowed to dry before picking out various details in black, such as the pedals, the foam on the roll bars, and the netting for the driver's side window. Then I can install the parts to the undercarriage and get those painted. I do apologize here, my camera shut off on me a few times during this stage, so I don't really have much footage of this. However, once everything was painted up, I could get the engine installed along with the remainder of the exhaust pipes and the drive shaft. Black was once again used for the dashboard and instrument panel, as well as the steering column and the wheel. Metal color aluminum 77.701 was then lightly dry brushed over the instrument dials to bring them out. Any excess brush strokes were cleaned up with the black. And then the needle in each dial was picked out in model air red. The steering column was then attached and installed on the kit. Now, my camera acted up again, and I don't have any footage of me installing the radiator and hoses and such to the engine. It pretty much went as the previous stages did, so there was nothing new there. However, as you can see here, I had quite a warped front lower arm assembly. It didn't take too much work to get it to glue in straight, I just needed to hold it in place, but I could have done without that. Once it was solidly in place, the whole assembly was coated in the same 70.950 black. Next, the bumper and hood were attached to the body in preparation for painting. A fine sanding stick was taken to the whole of the body, sanding just enough to give the plastic just the smallest amount of haze to it. Then it was taken outside and given a light coat of red spray enamel. After 15 minutes to tack, it was given another coat. This was repeated a third time, but as you can see here, I did get some orange peel in the paint finish. Using some 2000 grit sandpaper, I sanded this down as best I could. One more coat of the spray was applied, that's 4 total, and I set it aside to cure. In the meantime, it was time to work on the wheels. Black was once more used, this time to paint the hubcaps. Metal color steel, 77.712, was used on the rear side of the wheels. And then of course the inside of the body needed painting, again in that same black. And while that dried, the wheels were dry enough to be assembled. The remaining portion was once more picked out in metal color steel before being set aside. From there, we can start in on the decals. The decals on this kit were, well, not great. They were older and very much were reflective of the fact that this kit itself was a Revell Monogram kit. Not the worst decals I've ever dealt with, but they definitely wanted to fight me. It did take a few applications of microsol to get all of those decals to lay down, and even then, these here on these tires were still quite resistant. The larger decals did better, which is interesting to me, because usually it's the large ones that want to fight you more. I don't know if this is more indicative of an issue with the material that we're being applied to, the vinyl versus the plastic, but it was something I did notice. Even then though, the larger ones did resist me a bit as well, just not to the same degree. You can see with this one here how it just wanted to constantly wrinkle up and shift. But after a little patience, perseverance, and a healthy amount of microsol, all of the decals finally laid in place. So next it was attaching the wheels. And gluing all of the clear parts in place with PVA glue, and then we can call this one good. And there we go. The Jurassic Park The Ride stock car, number 24 from Revell Monogram in 1/24th scale. Overall, I'm quite happy with how this turned out. I do think that the mishap with the orange peel in the paint actually served to make the body feel more, I don't know, stock car-esque. I don't know how else to put it. It's not as glossy as cars normally are, which is kind of in line with stock car bodies, I guess. Anyway. I do wish the decals had played nicer, but all in all, it was about what I expected from a Revell Monogram kit from the 90s, so it wasn't all too bad. You can certainly spot some silvering in some places though, and I'm not sure if that's from the age of the decals, the orange peel, both, or what. Overall though, I'm quite happy. Plus, it's Jurassic Park. How unhappy could I fully be with Jurassic Park? But what did you think? Make sure to let me know in the comments below. Thank you Cali Bear and all of my starter set patrons. Your support is invaluable and keeps this channel going. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this build, and if you did, make sure to leave a like or consider subscribing so you can catch my upcoming content as it drops. If you didn't enjoy the build, leave a dislike. But if you do, make sure to let me know in the comments what you think I could have done better. And if you want to see more of my content, how about one of these 2 videos here? Either way, I'll see you all next time, and remember, stay safe and keep modeling.